Lady statue at the top.
Yeah, which is probably facing the other side.
Right.
And I don't know why it's just one, because it was more. But I see there's a scaffolding, so they're probably fixing something. Oh my goodness. Not sure. Sorry. Now, this is a very unusual, pretty architecture from the 30s again, designed by Piero Portaluppi, which is one of the most interesting architects we had in those years. Who was called not to just design a building, but to create a sort of how do you say? I cannot find the word. A district, a tiny cluster of building, and so you can see it's the same design on both sides. It's very unusual. It's very unusual because it's just the opening of a street,
right.
But pretty monumental because it's opening onto Corso Venezia, which is monumental, as we were saying, and as you saw. No, this is a museum, the Natural History Museum, which was set late in the 1800s, and so it recalls a medieval building, but it's definitely not. It's from, if I'm not wrong, the 90s of the 1800s, and it's still a Natural History Museum to nowadays. Let's go crossing here. Bike lanes.
Like
beware, beware.
That's the way to travel.
Yeah, and we're trying very hard to become more environmentally conscious, yes, and use bicycles, which is not easy, because in here it works. It's a very large street, you can find space for bicycle, but not everywhere really, so it's not really that easy. It's a fight they are trying. Some places they succeeded, some others the municipality made mistakes, to be honest. So.
Trial and error.
You see the dinosaur? It's the first time I see it, to be honest. It's a new one.
New one?
We can even go through the park, because I want to take you there, but it's nice, so maybe we can just... And this is exactly the green I was showing you from Via Manzoni. That's it, we are at the end of it.
Green.
Yes!
Trust me, that's what we say in Las Vegas, because it's desert. And if you have trees and you have grass, it's a luxury.
But I mean, Milan, we don't have green enough because the parks are tiny or so. It's not like we are a dry city or we need more water, but never as these days. I mean, really never as these days. Every single field is super, super green.
Oh yeah, I see it.
A motorbike? No,
Bentley.
I don't know.
It's an expensive car.
Okay. Bentley.
Bentley.
Okay. Okay. That is unusual to see in. Yes. Yeah. That is very unusual to see in here, I have to say. Yeah.
Well, in Las Vegas, where we live, they have water restrictions to where
Wow.
we're
Okay.
making all of the commercial areas, like apartment complexes that we have, communities and things like that, take out all the grass
Okay.
and put in either rocks
Really?
and or fake grass.
Yeah.
It's
Wow. We had a huge problem last July because there was this storm practically, and you have no idea how many trees we have lost.
Oh, I'm sure.
All broken. It was such a mess. It's unbelievable. I have to take you here. Even in here, it's kind of unusual for me to see this space on top because I have it in mind, just before this thing happened, and there was more. The trees were more than these. So I should honestly take you there first to show you the real front of this house, but I don't want to go back and forth, so I'll first show you the back. We're doing something illegal because we should have keys to enter this tiny city park, but let's see if we don't get arrested, at least to have a view of it. Oh, it's really hot. Oh, sorry. I'm okay. Wow.
It was really warm in Florence. In Rome, it was hot. Really hot.
But the problem is that in here, you never know what's gonna be, because one day it's super hot as it is today, the next is super cold, and it's.
Yeah, she got it.
I don't know, really, it's not the usual thing. It's really not the usual thing. So I would love you to enjoy this front of the house. It is. There's nobody. Impressive. Well, this is another neoclassical house from the very starting of the 1800s, late 1700s actually, and developed in the early 1800s. This is not the public side of it, by the way. This is the private one, and that's impressive. When I was telling you that the front is quiet, and then you enter and find beauty, that's very much the thing. Even in here, what you see really is, but all the investment in beauty and was for the inside of the house. And also, now you see a tiny green area. It used to be a large area, and it was designed for the very first, among the first times in Milan, as an English garden. as opposed to the typical Italian garden, you know, which
Right.
is Italian garden was symmetrical and rational, and the English garden was, on the contrary, the romantic one. So pretending that nature was wild, nothing is really wild.
Right.
Even the waterway was perfectly designed to look like a serpentine and
Right.
feel natural, but it's not. And it was much more extended. We had a temple in the middle, and you know, a number of tiny architectures, and so now not a lot stays, but still it is kind of impressive. Even this one is now a museum.
No. There's fish down there?
I guess so, and I know we have tortoise and ducks.
Yeah.
Can you see the fishes? Oh, it's pretty dirty. But you know, it's been raining so long, all the waters, even the canals would save them. It's kind of, it doesn't seem to be very clean. So,
Every
I see
time
now.
there's bubbles. That's where the fish are.
because there's a spring right in it, yeah.
About
Huh. Cool.
There's a little lizard down here.
Oh, well, as long as it's little, I'm fine, thank you.
It's like, yeah, give me that.
Oh, there's a cave on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah, e rocaille.
Huh.
That's me with spiders.
Eh,
I do not like spiders.
Even spiders, not really my friends.
No. So we were on a tour in the Colosseum,
Okay.
and our tour guide, his name was Eugene. We're at the inside the Colosseum, and we're talking, and he had his glasses on top of his head, and he was going like this, you know, because he felt something. And all of a sudden, he goes to put his glasses back on, and she's definitely afraid of spiders. There's one hanging right on his glasses, and she's like, she backs up like this, and she's like, there's a spider on his glasses. Yeah. She just about screamed. Yeah. I don't want to like, what happened? Yeah. Spider.
Ugh.
Yeah. He said that he felt something like on him,
Ooh.
and then he had his glasses on, and I was like, oh.
Ooh.
From a big tree.
Ah, yes, this is probably exactly what I was talking about. We lost a lot,
Yeah.
but crazy things happen. And the city park stayed closed for weeks because
Really?
yes, because they were dangerous. They were really
Wow.
dangerous. A lot of things just fell, and yeah, it was terrible. It was really terrible.
Right?
And this is the front. This was the front open towards the city. It's not like it's I don't know, irrelevant, but
Yeah.
it's nothing compared
other
to the back.
side.
Yeah. And this was a place that Napoleon, for instance, chose when he was in Milan. It was kind of given to Napoleon was we were under Austrian rule during the 1700s. Then Napoleon was in Milan at the very, very end of the 1700s, and he chose Milan because he made Milan the capital of its Italian kingdom. He was crowned King of Italy in the Duomo in 1805, and he had several places where that he picked up or to stay or so. And this one was one of those. He never stayed at any place because Napoleon never really stopped in Milan. He never really stopped anywhere, to be honest, because he couldn't. I mean, I think the secret was he kept on fighting. Right. When he stopped, he was gone. But this was one of the places. Now it's a museum again, and it houses the collection of paintings and works of art from the 1800s.
Wow.
And it still shows, for instance, this amazing ballroom that has a fantastic hardwood floor, paintings on the ceilings, a lot of gold, the chandeliers. It's a beautiful place still.
Yes. We didn't care for Rome too much.
You didn't?
No, it was too many people.
I know.
So
it's annoying.
Very dirty.
Is it dirty? I know it as well. Yeah.
Graffiti everywhere. We thought, okay, we were driving in. We had our private driver take us.
I think Rome is probably the most difficult city to run because there's so much. Everything is a huge effort in maintaining,
yes.
And other things just,
well,
they're left apart.
How many people have lived in the city by painting it and like.
Oh yeah, the world is full of idiots. But, you can tell it even in here.
But it was, it was everywhere on all the historical buildings. And I was like, it's such a shame that all of these people come in here and they have the peddlers there that are constantly trying to sell you something, and then the pickpockets, and you can watch them as you're walking along the street to see all the people. They're watching watching you as you're walking by, and you can see them. They're on the phone talking to somebody and watching, so they have their connections to say who's coming down the street,
Yeah.
It was very, as I call it, sketchy. Like, didn't feel safe at all in that city.
Ooh.
Yeah. It was.
I have to say, personally, I really think Milan is a very safe place. Very safe place. People. I started to hear different. But in my personal experience, I don't know, I'm used to, for instance, I catch trams and go home at 10 p.m., 11 p.m. on my own, and I'm just fine, and I feel comfortable doing so. I never had troubles of any sort, to be honest. Then I might be lucky.
You have to hold your purse.
Not really. I tend to keep an eye on it because I tend to move around a lot by trams and public means of transport. So you just be aware of your things. But it's not like I see pickpocketing or so. But maybe it's just me. I'm not able to talk for everyone. There are people right now which are saying the opposite about Milan. So. But I don't know, you can tell, it doesn't really feel any dangerous or dirty or so.
Right.
It's
It feels like a much bigger city.
And it's not, because
not.
Rome is much larger than Milan, to be honest. Milan, well, we love to think we are a very large international city, and but we're not, as a matter of fact.
What's the population here?
It's 1.34 million. Okay, not even four. So it's Rome is, I think, something like 3 times larger than Milan.
Yeah,
so
it's like 3 times.
And also Milan is kind of, I mean, almost everything is at reach. You can walk.
Right.
You can walk there. So it's true that we have outskirts which are larger, and but it's also true that I don't know, the city center is tiny. The city center is kind of tiny. So, guess where we are? We're back to the arches we saw from the other side.
Pretty. As they would say in the States, it's sexy.
This one? Okay.
I said, as they would say in the United States, it's sexy. We're big car people. We like the finer things in vehicles and cars.
Sure. Well, I cannot tell, I don't know, a Ferrari from a Fiat 500, so I'm really not the person. I can actually not tell my mom's car, because she bought a gray car.
A gray car.
I cannot find it when it's parked. That truly was. A week ago, I was driving it. I reached this parking lane, and there were these African guys which tried to sell you things and take care. Okay, and I headed to one car and did like that, and the guy looked at me and said, "That," because he remembered.
Oh, that's funny.
And he was right. It is not my car. So to this level, I cannot really talk about cars at all. Now, we go this way, we cross in there, and we're heading towards Brera, which is the artsy district in Milan. Exactly. I'm trying to get you confused.
Oh, yeah.
Is it working? Oops.
It was funny because in Florence we found our bearings pretty quickly and then we left. So I was like, just when we got used to it.
Okay, and you have time to go.
Same thing. Rome, we never got our bearings, but in Sorrento we knew,
how to move around a little.
Use maps. We didn't have to do anything.
Here we go.
Woo.
Okay. Yeah, maybe not that much. I think they're sticky when it's hot like this.
Your feet would be sliding and that would be all sweaty.
Exactly. That's the feeling.
But if you look cute, I guess that's what matters. Right?
Right. As long as you can make it.
Yeah, right. I
couldn't probably.
Yeah. It's like some women we were watching, like in Rome, with all the cobblestone streets, and they're in heels walking around, and I thought,
they're brave.
right? We're in sandals and tennis shoes, and I was just like, there's just no way. Forget that. Besides the fact that not being able to keep your balance, but then your feet hurting so bad by the time you
but then, I mean, beautiful shoes are expensive, and you literally devastate them when you're working on those pebbles.
Correct.
So, you don't want to do that.
It's weird that the streets are so wide, huh?
Yeah.
This one, because, again, this is the waterway.
Right.
So it was large, yes.
Like every city we've been to has these teeny tiny little streets that, barely a car can fit down, and this is almost like normal, like would be in the U.S.
I have to say, I am under the impression that Milan truly feels more contemporary than any other city in Italy, at least. And this happens on the one side, I mean, it's a good thing. On the other, it's a bad one, because the truth is that we look more modern because we tend to move on, faster. So, tombing the canals, erasing, I don't know, the remains of the Roman past, and building the new, and building the new, and building the new. It's good and it's bad at the same time.
Right.
But it's very much in the nature of Milan to kind of renovate and keep on moving, which is good. I have to say I appreciate it in the end.
It definitely gives a lot more modern
Sure.
feel to it than like a normal city versus an ancient city.
Yeah. And Milan is super old, because Milan was started not even by the Romans. Milan was started by the Celts, and it was a Celtic religious center. And I'm talking about practically the 6th century before Christ.
Wow.
So the story is the longest.
So the history here is just...
The history is the longest, really.
Yeah.
This is, I have to say, Via dei Giardini, one of my favorites.
The
Because it's
trees.
yes, the trees,
Beautiful.
the buildings are kind of more or less modern, but elegant. It is quiet. It's really fantastic.
È normale quello.
We're almost there. I mean, I'm sorry, but it's not really that close, but it's not even far.
So we were reading up yesterday
Hmm.
that Italy has a lottery. The lotto?
Yes.
Do you play the lottery?
No.
No?
No, it feels like just giving money to the state
Oh,
that
no.
is not going to come back. So no, I don't. I already give them a lot.
Lots, yeah,
So
right.
more than enough. So no. This is the headquarters of the police, as you can tell
okay.
from the people at the entrance.
This building is really, really...
Which one?
Strange,
This
the
one.
gray
This
one.
is another one from the 30s. This is another one from the 30s. Maybe late 20s or so. As well as this one.
The stone that they show, it looks very dark and...
In part, it's because it's dirty,
Yeah.
but it's true that the very typical Lombard stone is a thing that I don't know how to translate it. We call it ceppo gentile, and it comes mostly from the area of River Adda, okay? And it tends to be gray. I mean, it is gray. It is gray. So it's light gray when it's clean, but still it's gray. And you find a lot of buildings this color because of that, because it's the local stone, and so it's available and affordable. And the high rises. And the doors are so dangerous, it's crazy. So dangerous. Since we were all in lockdown during pandemics, the municipality kind of tried. They experienced, yes, something went okay. Some of these have been removed because they are absolutely idiots.
Right.
And some others stayed, like this one, but I really wouldn't move along here. It's too scary. Another mini car. This is not even the electric. This is a so-called mini car, which is a thing you probably saw much more in Rome. Because you haven't. Because in Rome these were very popular, but even 20 years ago.
Wow.
And it was about making sure your kids were not endangered, because you can drive them if you are 16. So 2 years earlier, because normally we can get a license to drive just when we're 18.
Is it 18?
Yes, in Italy it's 18.
In one of the other cities it was as early as 14.
Nope. No. You can ride a scooter if you are 14,
I
but not a car. Yeah.
One of that like little micro car is classified as a motorcycle.
Esatto, that's it, exactly. And so if you think of the traffic in Rome, you understand why parents bought a lot of tiny cars instead of scooters. and it became kind of popular there. But the best way to move around in Milan is this. No mistake. This is it. No, yes, the Vespa, whatever the scooter, but this range. It's a life-changing.
All I have to say is, in traffic, these people that drive these, they have no fear.
No, but everyone can do because I can. So I can tell you. Because I was given one, and it was my boyfriend who gave me a scooter, and he bought the cheapest one because he was not really sure I was going to be able to ride it, but I was.
What is that? That says Microlino.
These I've never seen. That's the first time I see it myself.
What is that? These little cars. And that's for 2 people, babe.
I think so, yeah. Microlino. I like it.
It looks like from Despicable Me, the car, but small version. It does. That's what it looks like.
And does it open from the front?
It does open.
It opens on the front. Like there were cars designed in the 50s that looked like that.
Right.
It's lovely. I kind of like it. Also, there's a Topolino right now, which I just came to know, and I kind of like it too. By the way, this is a church which is called Church of San Marco. It's one of the old. It's a pretty old one. An interesting thing is the bell tower with this shape, which is pretty unusual in Milan. The witch hat shape, we call it.
Oh.
Yes. And the church is from the 1200s. The chapels are not, as you can tell. The chapels came later.
Yeah. Upside down ice cream cone.
Yeah, practically so. Yeah, it works.
Waffle cone.
I will steal these definitions.
Right?
And consider that this was the largest church in Milan before the Duomo was made. Wow. The Duomo is super, super large. Have you seen the Duomo yet?
No.
No, so we are going to finish there. So
Okay.
you will, you have to. But the Duomo is actually one of the largest churches ever. Well, I know that it depends on the books you read, but it's meant to be the 4th church in the world. There's St. Peter in Rome, there's Seville, the cathedral in Seville in Spain, St. Paul in London, and then comes the Duomo, so it really is pretty massive. Yes, we can have a view from there, I guess. It is.
Run over.
Thank you.
Oh wow. That looks like a mini version of the tower in Dubai.
That one, I know. I think from here we can go. It's gonna take us like 7 minutes to go there, and it's also nice because there are some corners which are good. And then we can come back, head towards the fortress, Brera, and so.
Okay.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So, if you want to, we have a lot of time to be honest.
Okay.
So if you're not tired, if you're okay, I think we can get there and include that in the tour. If you're not interested in contemporary architecture, we can just okay, that's okay. No, I just wanted to try to find a way to show the church, but too many leaves are in front, so maybe in here we have a chance of it. Yes, we do. But just to say that, because
Yeah.
the church looks lovely, and it's actually an old one. But if you look at these old thing, you
Right.
can tell it's too perfect. Each and every brick is regular. Each and every decor
Right.
is just perfect. Because the church underwent a thing most of the churches underwent in the end of the 1800s, which was the wish to go back to their original shape. This is an old church. It surely looked like a medieval one because it was, but also churches are living organisms, so
Right.
they keep on changing, together with the time. And so the front was not like that any longer. And at the end of the 1800s, restoring meant for sometimes just trying to go back. But as a matter of fact, they had to kind of reinvent or redesign a
whole
brand
front
new
of it.
medieval front, because that's what it is. So also it goes a little bit down because if you look there, that street used to be one of the canals,
So
and
the
the water came all the way to there, and there was a bridge where now you see the stripes,
Yeah.
the zebra, and it met the moats, because we came again along the way of the moats, the city moats. So it was water and water
Okay.
at the time. And you also see that there's a yellow house over there, and there are trees, because the buildings are at the back, and that is a larger space, because that used to be a sort of tiny harbor,
Oh, okay.
which was called the laghetto, lake, okay, so that the boats could stop and I don't know, deliver the goods or so. All things that disappeared really, because we are, as we were saying, we're very good in moving on. The yellow house over there is very simple and quiet, but it's actually one of the old houses from the 1400s that never was moved. The buildings at the back, as we were saying, yes, they are super new. And it's true that the building with the spire, which is the heart of the entire the district, is enormous, really. The building with the spire is the heart of it. I have to say that it is true that this architecture could be everywhere in the world, because there's no nationality to modern, to contemporary architecture any longer. But the spire on top is the one thing that makes it Milanese, because you will see the Duomo, and the Duomo is covered in spires.
Right.
And that's the way to generate a connection. I think the architect was smart, because it's plenty of architects who worked together, each one doing a little in there. But the master plan comes from Cesar Pelli, and the tower there is from Cesar Pelli. And Cesar Pelli, I have to say, I really think it was a smart one. Also, I don't know, how many of us knew that Kuala Lumpur was the capital of Malaysia before Cesar Pelli placed there the Petronas Towers?
Really? Wow.
Isn't it? I mean, a good architecture can give identity to a
Right,
place,
yeah.
if you wish. And in a way, that's what it tried to do in here. And I have to say, it's a beautiful area. But you can go there the next day
check
or
it
so, because
out,
it's not far at all. It's a beautiful area. It's pedestrian. It's both working spaces and living spaces. It's luxury. It's very well connected to the city center. So it truly works. I don't know. No one complains about it. There was a lot of complaining while this district was in the making, because the fear was that a lot of tarmac, was going to take place of, I don't know, possible. Yes, they are, but they're safe. you can walk on.
Very deep. Yeah.
Some of them are sometimes deep, like 1 story or so. It's true. Should we? I think we can. Now this is going to be much more busy because we're literally entering a pretty iconic and central district, tiny district in Milan, which is that of Brera, which is, as I was saying, very much the artsy district, because the art academy is at the heart of it, and which I want to show you in a second. Then we can have a walk around it. This
Tu prima puoi fare quello che vuoi tu, no? Poi dici.
Now we go there for a moment and then we come back and move through these.
L'otto ieri?
Questo problema.
Very cool.
So this is the heart of the Brera district. This building used to be a convent in the Middle Ages. Then it was made into a Jesuit house in the mid-1500s. The Jesuits started a school in here for the upper classes, of course, and then they had to leave in the late 1700s because the order was suppressed, and so this place was emptied. And as it was already set to be a school, I guess, the Austrians, we were under Austrian rule at the time, they took advantage of it and they made it into an art academy. We never really had an art academy in Milan, or at least we tried early in the 1600s, it didn't really work, so it was a new start. And the art academy is still growing strong
Right.
so, okay, since then, because as you can tell there are kids in the courtyard because the ground floor is still occupied by the classrooms and they teach I don't know, sonography for instance is one of the things you learn in this academy, and then we also have an art gallery which is set on the first floor, which basically came along at the same time because at the starting, it was a matter of giving models to the students. They needed, to give examples and make sure they could learn. But it's also true that in a second, we passed from the hands of the Austrians onto those of Napoleon. And as we were saying, Napoleon chose Milan. So Napoleon had plans for Milan. And one of the things he probably wanted was Milan to have a proper museum like Paris already had. And so he basically contributed into enlarging the collection and enriching them and so. And it was under Napoleon in 1809 that this place opened as a museum and still is, which is interesting because this is a public museum right from the start, which is not a given thing. I mean, because if you think of museums, normally they come out of a bequest, a private collection, which is given to. This one was, truly originated as a public thing instead. And the other thing you see is actually Napoleon in the middle of the courtyard. Is the best version of him, if I may say. It's a sculpture from Antonio Canova. And there's another thing which is lovely. We can try to give a look if you wish. I hope it's open because you never really can tell. But at the back of it, there's the tiniest botanical garden. Should we go?
Sure.
Let's go.
And this is the first iteration of the Disney's. What's the little fairy
Nope.
saying?
No,
Tinkerbell.
not really.
Kidding.
Not really, but well, in here Napoleon is represented as a winning Mars, so as a Greek god, and the tiny Tinkerbell is meant to be a victory. A victory. I can also tell you that it's a fake because the real one was stolen.
Really?
So, yes. Yes. So it's a new one. This is really the school. These are not real things, of course, they are copies of very classical works, as you can tell, but things you've seen in Rome, for instance. And these are truly the classrooms. Sculpture. More sculpture. I have to say, a lot of people find a job in, I don't know, they become scenographers, they work in special effects, so it's a good school in a way. Seems
very cool, very honorable to go here.
Yeah. This place always had a super interesting connection. Yes, it's open. We're lucky. It always had a super interesting connection to the Scala, for instance, because Brera and the Scala are kind of the Scala Opera House. I mean, they're kind of the same age, and since the starting, scenography has been an interesting teaching, a relevant one in here. So quite a number of the people that study here truly then, end up working in the Scala Theatre. As well as the other thing which is very well connected is the conservatory, of course. And even the conservatory was started in the early 1800s, so not a long time after the Scala opened. And there's a true interaction between things. Oh, this is nice. Yes, they do. So this is the tiniest botanical garden I can show you, but it's so lovely to have it so completely hidden. It's just a joy, isn't it? It's really, really, really small, you can tell.
Beautiful though.
And these at the back, these are on top the offices of the astronomic observatory, because Brera also houses an astronomic observatory. They do not observe the sky from Milan, of course, it's not the place, but the offices are still in here since the late 1700s, really.
Wow.
Both the botanical garden, the academy, the astronomical observatory. They were all set at the same time. Just that. I know it's small, but it's nice.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And unexpected.
You ever just come and walk through here just for
I do.
peace?
Or at least I take it as a shortcut, because if you are lucky, it's open on the other side,
the gate,
and you basically go back to Via Manzoni.
Oh,
so it's
nice.
a shortcut. It's one more shortcut you can take, and it's just adorable. The problem is that you never really know if it is open or not, because it's basically volunteers and people from the university to take care of it. Wow. Che belle. Yeah, plenty.
Plenty of these. We don't need to get stung. No food or drink and no smoking.
Okay.
It'll stunt the growth of the plants.
Oh yeah, it's pollution. People throw their cigarettes and bikes, they ride over the stuff and dogs pee on them, and that doesn't do the plants any good.
Also, at the back there lives Armani. The building over there is the house of Armani, Giorgio Armani.
Giorgio Armani?
Yes.
He lives there now?
He lives there now, yes.
Wow. In here.
It's it's kind of noisy, isn't it? Just glance inside. You see the shape of the ceiling in here. Well, one of the things that there used to be in here before the building was made and transformed, we were talking about a convent. Of course, it had a church, and this is the church.
Oh, wow.
This is the church which kind of stayed and was made part of a larger building. And it is the church that gave name to this place, because Brera was related to the church. Brera actually is a sort of old Italian names, which refers, it should be Braida, and it should refer to a large space with some sort of enclosure for public meetings in the Middle Ages, set it in the Middle Ages. And then the church was probably made in a place like that, so that it became Santa Maria di Brera, and then now it's an art academy, but that's the story of the name. Barnum Boriani is the astronomist, is it the word correct? Okay, who used to work in the astronomical observatory when it was set. Looks like a labyrinth, but it's basically square. And we're back.
No, appunto, è per quello che ho detto, cerchiamo di entrare un po' prima.
E quindi sono buone di Where? Right next to me.
Now, the idea is to go through the Brera district, which means along via Fiori Chiari. Excuse me. Now, it's not like I have a lot of things to say about this district, because the truth is that this used to be a very working class district until some 40 years ago, I would say, 45, say 45. And then it was gentrified. And that's what it turned out to be, which is lovely, because consider that all these houses used to be in very poor condition. But you can tell by the scale, these are not really impressive houses. They are just very average and really working class. They were made into lovely places to live. They were fixed. But consider that until really not that much time ago, they only had I don't know, a toilet, each story, or things like this. This was really a place for artists, which by definition had no money, prostitutes, because this used to be the headquarters of prostitution in Milan, and one of the reasons why artists choose this place is not only the presence of the academy, but also the fact that there was a water lane in there. So those who worked in sculpture, for instance, could have the stone delivered, and that made a difference. So this is how it works. Now it's been transformed for the best. It's one of the most expensive places to live in Milan, but it's super nice. Now it is cafe, it's restaurant, it's nice shops. Let's have a walk. In a way, yeah, but the only thing is that this is very, very tiny, because it's just, couple of streets like this, and you don't have more. But it's super nice. It's super, super nice. And consider that this is not even an old thing. I mean, it's not tradition or maintaining something or so. This is an aesthetic choice the municipality made in full 20th century, okay? It's just the look. And look at the terraces, they are fantastic. They're fantastic.
All the jasmine, and it just smells so good. Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, these are not good for heels.
Nope. No, they aren't, really. Let's go this way for a second. So. I do. Yes, I do. No, but also because I can show you some little more if we move,
Right.
a big zigzag. And this, for instance, of the many churches in Milan is no longer in use. On the contrary, it kind of belongs to the academy, and they use it for, I don't know, the exhibitions of the students, or it's often used as a site for the design week.
Oh, okay.
Design week in Milan is a huge thing,
Right.
really. And
Fashion week,
but design is better. Because fashion weeks are for the people in the field.
Right.
So you see Milan is crazy busy, it's impossible to get a cab or so, but it's not like you are part of it.
Right.
Events are not to be shared. While design tends to really be very inclusive in change. So you basically enter everywhere, and there's a lot of people going every place, and it's just fun. It's very, very fun. It is very, very fun. I'm heading to the fortress right now.
Okay.
We can go through Via della Madonnina. Yes, we can go this way. I'm just thinking of how to move.
Right.
So,
The faucets.
yeah.
Certo.
There's so much to choose from fashion-wise. You choose, you know?
Yeah, I don't know, by the way, because it's true that there's plenty of things, but if you seek different ones, maybe Milan is not the place, because it's truly high-end, and the
Right.
brands are the brands, you know?
Right.
While, I don't know, in places like, I think of Verona, I think of some Treviso, for instance, so some tinier cities,
Yeah.
they have something different to show.
It's
Which,
different,
yeah.
I guess if you come here to shop, you know what you're coming to shop for.
In a way, probably so, yeah. And actually, sometimes people get delusional, I mean, because they expect to go artisans having tailor-made things or something.
Right.
But Milan is not this thing. It's not. It's Chanel and Gucci.
Right.
And
It's all the name brand,
absolutely.
the best of the best. Cashmere and chocolate.
Hey,
Oh, this is
that shop is going to be successful.
We also have a gelato and champagne around the corner.
Gelato
We are
and
probably going
champagne?
by, yes, which is another thing that seems to work fine.
I'm sure.
Now let's have a view of Piazza del Ca. Watch the floor because it's. And I'm afraid all this raining didn't really help because some of the holes or so are because of 30 days of rain in a row, really.
Right.
This is called Piazza del Carmine. The church in front of us is kind of the same story of that of San Marco. So it's a real old one with a brand new old front dating back to the late 1800s. But the church is honestly an old one, and it also became a lovely square to hang out because. It's very quiet now, but because it's very warm this moment, it feels like it's summer.
Summer.
Again, you see some more Art Nouveau even in here. This is a beautiful Art Nouveau building. We have plenty of Art Nouveau, not necessarily in the city center, but just because city center was already fulfilled when Art Nouveau was on. But we kind of have a lot. And you see, at least you see, I don't know, the decors, you see certain details which are Art Nouveau in. Paradoxically, Art Nouveau in here was more interesting when it came to working class architectures. It was more experimental. It was more, modernizing than the one made for the wealthy ones. The two dogs are wearing socks. Can you see?
The shoes, they're
Yes,
dog
they have
shoes,
shoes.
so they don't burn their feet.
Smart.
They have those that we
Possibly,
people use
yeah.
all the time in the States.
When it's too hot.
Because even though it feels like 70 degrees,
No, but the tarmac
that's hot.
is.
Yeah, it's very hot. Those are big, and especially in Las Vegas, people have them. First of all, people walk their dogs in the middle of the day when it's like 100 degrees outside. So the pavement's 150
Yes.
degrees. So it can burn their paws. And then they put the shoes on, and even at night when the sun goes down, the tarmac
It's
is
still hot.
hot.
It's still hot. 'Cause it keeps it. Well,
So yeah.
as long as they're comfortable,
Exactly.
it's okay.
It's funny to watch when you first put them on them because they
How they react.
yeah, especially cats. They do that to cats.
Oh my
too.
goodness, I could never do that to my cat. I would lose my hands
You'd
if I
lose
tried,
your
you know. Oh, just a suggestion. This is called Princi. Princi is actually a chain, so you can find a number of them. It's the best focaccias you can get.
Oh, okay.
It's really, really super good. And you can also have an aperitivo in Princi. So it's now we are crossing this way. They don't really work.
No?
No. But now these, the commercial you see there is the Armani wall in Milan. It's been Armani commercials since I can't remember really.
Really?
Yes. The picture changes, but it's Armani since I don't know, a very long time now.
Crazy. They pay a
I
lot
know.
of money for that
I
advertising.
guess
often does
so.
it
I
change?
guess so. Excuse me?
How often does it change?
Well, depending on a month or two, let's say 1 month and a half or so, depending what he needs to advertise or so.
What's new? What's coming?
Yeah, Fashion Week, I don't know, whatever the collection. Now it's sunglasses, it can be furniture, it's clothes, whatever.
He's marketed
but it's just,
everything for between home,
yeah,
cologne,
yeah.
clothing,
Jewelry,
furniture, jewelry.
watches,
Watches,
everything. Which is the thing they are doing. Which is the
Really?
thing, yeah, all the designers are kind of doing that.
Wow.
No one has a wall, by the way, except
Yeah,
made
except
for
for
Giorgio
Armani.
Armani, which is definitely the king. And we know it. I mean, if you need to meet up with somebody, you can say, "Let's meet at the Armani wall." People in
And everybody
Milan
knows
know
where it is. Yeah.
Now, I would love to go there. The fortress is, we just have to cross,
Okay.
but it's there. You don't see it, but I promise it's not far. Watch a second. This is the Golden Goose flagship store. Yeah, that's the flagship store. You can find some models. I've been told you cannot find anywhere else, and
Really?
they don't. Yeah, and they don't sell. You cannot buy online or so. Yeah. Gelato and champagne. Here we go.
Nice.
Those are silver. Gold. No, the gold hoops. Those are silver, but you have gold effect.
This is also cheap, to be honest. It's not an expensive. See, it's not an expensive shop.
Да, конкретно.
We lost it. No, I'm sorry. That's okay. You see this street, which is semicircular, because it surrounds the fortress. It's a line of building that surrounds the fortress, and that we call Foro Buonaparte. Again, the name of Napoleon comes back, because Napoleon is the one who had the idea to do a thing like that. He had plans for the fortress, which didn't really happen because he had no time, and it also was pretty expensive, so it didn't really happen. We did it later, but the name was given after Napoleon on both sides.